You know, I've complained about Marvel enough. I've expressed over and over my disappointment that the last few years haven't lived up to the previous era, and while that makes for interesting content, it doesn't really help Marvel, or me, or the audience. Today I want to do something more constructive, and that is present my version of the Multiverse Saga, so I can prove that a better version of Marvel after Endgame could have existed. This isn't why Marvel is bad, this is why Marvel could be better. This is my idea for what the Multiverse Saga should have been. My goal for this saga has 3 core points. I want focus on specific characters throughout the saga. That means Spider-Man and Doctor Strange have a lot of appearances like Tony Stark did before. I want a clear group of heroes in every phase, which means one Avengers film capping off each phase. And I want quality over quantity, which means narrowing down a lot of this content and getting rid of a ton of TV shows. Marvel released so many Disney Plus shows that none of them feel special anymore. Simply having less of them would make each of them feel more important and worth the time. The best thing to do after Endgame is revisit a bunch of the main characters in their solo projects responding to the events of Endgame. That means checking in on Sam and Bucky, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Strange, and Thor. New characters will come too, but not before the old characters are re-established. The real Phase 4 we got had 7 movies, 8 TV shows, and 2 specials in only 2 years. I will be narrowing this down to 6 movies and 5 TV shows in 3 years. This phase will have the most TV shows as well, because just like in real life, interest was highest at the beginning. The first movie of Phase 4 would be The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and you could market this as a Captain America film because that would bring in more money. Call it Captain America Legacy or New World Order. I didn't like the show we got because it was unfocused and scattered. However, it did have a great premise about the Flag Smashers who preferred how the world was during the blip. That would make this a great first film after the Infinity Saga. If you cut out the Sharon Carter plotline as well as Zemo, we have a solid movie in here. Most of the stuff with John Walker can stay, except he won't be a complete enemy to Sam and Bucky. Fans now are saying that Walker did nothing wrong, which is stupid, but it's because our 2 heroes treated him so terribly in this show. But in this movie version, they will have disagreements and Walker will go too far, but in the end he will give the shield to Sam and admit that he wasn't meant to be Captain America. This would start the friendship of Walker and Bucky before they become teammates later on. After these 3 take down the Flag Smashers, Sam would begin his mission to build the next Avengers team as the new Captain America. I think this could be a great start to Phase 4 and solid setup for the future. I want the first TV show of the saga to be Black Widow. You might be thinking, what are we doing? Just turning a show into a movie and a movie into a show? Yes, just for these 2. I do think Falcon would be good as a movie, and I have a good idea to make Black Widow an 8-episode show. The first 3 episodes could be the backstory that we got a glimpse of, about Natasha's childhood and her beginning at the Red Room with Yelena. These episodes could focus on a specific mission early on that Natasha still remembers and regrets. The next 3 episodes would jump forward in time to Natasha's escape from the Red Room and her beginning at S.H.I.E.L.D. We could get an episode of the Budapest mission where she thinks she killed Dreykov, and this would also give us the start of Natasha and Clint's friendship. Then the final 2 episodes would be the events of the Black Widow movie after Civil War, when Natasha reconnects with Yelena and Alexei. They would finally end the Red Room for good, and this would set up Yelena and Alexei for their future film appearances. Does this mean that we would never get a Black Widow movie? Yes, but I think we would be satisfied after this to not need to see Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow return again. This would be a good show, and I would also change some plot elements like the brainwashed widows and Taskmaster, of course, but you get the idea of this time-jumping show. The second movie of Phase 4 would be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and this was a serviceable origin story for a new character. I don't think there's much we need to change here. I would just change the cameo to Sam Wilson instead of Wong. Shang-Chi getting recruited by Sam for the Avengers would actually lead to something soon, unlike the real world where we still haven't seen the character since this moment. Anyway, Shang-Chi is an Avenger, and he will appear again very soon. The second TV show of the year 2021 would be Loki. Very similar to the one we got, but I want to clean some things up. And it's going to take a lot of time, so buckle up. We're dealing with the multiverse here. I would not shorten this into a movie, but I would shorten these 2 seasons into one 9 or 10 episode season. There's a little bit of filler in season 2. Also, this is the first appearance of the multiverse in the Multiverse Saga, so it's really important that we nail down the rules of this concept so that every future project can be consistent. As we know, Loki was arrested by the Time Variance Authority because he wasn't supposed to escape New York with the Tesseract. That event created a new branch timeline because of the time travel mess the Avengers created. Now, the show suggests that branches don't only come from time travel messing things up. If you make certain decisions that add up to big differences, that's a branch. But that's nothing like a universe where Loki is a girl. These cannot be the same thing. This show has to separate the idea of branching timelines from the idea of alternate realities. We need a way to visualize the difference. And I think the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once can help us understand. That movie shows the multiverse on a map, and the further the universe is from your own, the more differences it would have. The close universes could have small changes where every Peter Parker looks like Tom Holland. The farther universes were never similar at any point, and that's why this Peter Parker has a completely different face from this Peter Parker. Those worlds were never the same. So if every Loki is Tom Hiddleston, that means they're from worlds close to 616 or whatever. Or they could even be branches of 616. Sylvie, on the other hand, was never Tom Hiddleston, so her universe would be further away. That could never be a branch of 616. Branching timelines off of 616 are completely different from alternate universes, like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man world or Sylvie's world. And that's why I want to change the idea of the sacred timeline. In the show, the TVA protects the sacred timeline and eliminates any branches. The entire multiverse is limited to only this one world, but that doesn't work because Sylvie's world or Maguire's world could never come from branches of the main MCU, as we said. We can keep the idea of pruning the branches, but 616 would not be the only time stream that the TVA takes care of. There are tons of universes for them to work on, and we can keep the conflict of Sylvie because her branch was destroyed. Each branch is still a whole world that the TVA gets rid of, and Loki and Sylvie want to stop that. It's just different because I don't think the MCU should be the only timeline that exists at first. Sylvie's world, the X-Men and Spider-Man worlds do exist, and they're not branches of this one reality. They are separate timelines that could have their own set of branches. Imagine later in this saga if all those worlds are wiped out. I think that'd be a lot more powerful than them not existing at all until Loki kills Kang. Oh yeah, the show still has to set up Kang. Well, the change I would make here is that there's no council of Kangs. Most Kangs have their own empires in the far future, and they don't know that one of their variants controls the whole multiverse. The mystery of who's behind the TVA was great, so we keep that. After Loki and Sylvie kill Kang, I want to see a bunch of different versions of him try to take the throne back. But in the end, Loki makes that sacrifice to take care of all the timelines, and every branch is allowed to continue. So, we've established the multiverse that this saga will be exploring, and I think it has a lot of potential. The third film and final project of 2021 would be Spider-Man No Way Home, and I don't want to change a single thing about this film. Now we know that the villains and Spider-Man did not come from branches seen in Loki, they came from completely separate realities. The multiverse is already looking more consistent. Could I rewrite Doctor Strange's part in this film to not be as stupid? Yeah, but that's not really my goal here. I'm fixing the structure and consistency of the MCU, not the flaws in an otherwise phenomenal movie. No Way Home stays the same. Moving on. The first TV show of 2022 would be WandaVision. This is another project that doesn't need that much correction, but I would take out Agatha. She's an unnecessary villain. Just let Wanda be the villain of the show in the end. And also take out the X-Men Quicksilver fake out. The rest of this show was really good, because it gave us a clear idea of how broken Wanda was after the blip, and had a great mystery to go with it. I would just want to see her go to Doctor Strange for some help after these events, and that would directly lead into the Doctor Strange movie coming later that year. The fourth movie of Phase 4 would be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and even though I would personally change a lot of things about this movie, this is the film Marvel wanted to make to honor Chadwick Boseman and his character of T'Challa, and since this film didn't have as much effect on the rest of the saga, I would just leave it as it is. This is the best that we could get from a Black Panther movie without the title character, so it's fine as it is. But I would like to see some hint of Shuri as Black Panther joining the new Avengers team, and I would take out the Ironheart plotline entirely, just to narrow down the amount of new character introductions. The fourth TV show so far would be Hawkeye. I really like this show, so this is actually another project that doesn't need to change much. I would say either include Kingpin in it more, or just leave him out. Anything except just one scene in the finale. Overall, I think this is a great show to have since it reflects on Clint's actions in Endgame and also sets up a new hero for the future in Kate Bishop. We also get a second appearance from Yelena. Once again, I want yet another post-credit scene of Kate getting recruited by someone for the new Avengers team. Would this get repetitive? Yes, but it's something we haven't gotten enough of recently. The fifth movie of the saga and the final project of 2022 would be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Don't be fooled, this is an entirely different movie from the one we got in real life. I'm gonna redo this thing completely. Wanda is not going to be the villain here. It's gonna be a Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch team-up movie. The villain is gonna be Kang the Conqueror, a different one than who we saw in Loki, because this Kang is one of the variants with an empire in the far future, and he has also built up his own TVA while Loki is still holding the multiverse together on his own. Kang is after Doctor Strange because of all the branches he has helped create. Not only the branches created by time travel in Endgame, but also the new branches that the Spider-Man created by saving the villains in No Way Home. All of those are new branches of realities that didn't exist before, and that's what Kang wants to stop. He comes after Doctor Strange by himself to kill him, but with Wanda there to help, Kang cannot defeat them. This is when the Multiverse of Madness comes into play. Kang takes Strange and Wanda to all kinds of different universes which are ruled by his variants. One of the universes could have Professor X, Magneto, and Quicksilver, so we could establish the X-Men worlds are connected to the MCU like the original movie tried to do, but this would also serve more of a purpose because Magneto and Quicksilver are Wanda's family in another world. Kang could also tempt Wanda with a world where she can be with Vision and her children, and she would be swayed by that, but eventually she would prove herself to be a hero again when she rejects that offer. Doctor Strange could also be challenged and tested in this story when he realizes that he has said similar things that Kang does about other worlds. He would realize that his commitment to protecting one reality made him heartless to all others, like when he refused to help the villains get cured in No Way Home. This film could actually challenge his responsibility as a hero through the multiverse. In the end, Strange and Wanda are able to defeat Kang, and then they are picked up by the TVA. There they meet Loki and Sylvie, and Strange agrees to defend the multiverse against all other Kang variants. He accepts his responsibility as a hero to fight for all universes, not just his own. Then I think Wanda could go back home despite having the chance to go to any world of her choice. I think this could be an awesome step deeper into the multiverse, which builds off WandaVision and Loki equally as much. It also uses Strange and Wanda far better than the real film did. When it comes to Kang, this is a far better full introduction than Quantumania was, no doubt. I think it was stupid that they put him in an Ant-Man film just to try and make that film seem important, but this way Kang and Strange are made far better characters. But then, just like in the real world, our actor for Kang, Jonathan Majors, got in some trouble. So he won't be the next Avengers villain. But that's okay, we can rethink the plan. The next Avengers movie wasn't supposed to have him anyway in my plan. By the way, the post-credit scene of this film would have Wanda being replaced by a Skrull. The only TV show of 2023 and the fifth and final show of Phase 4 will be the Kree-Skrull War. This could be an 8-episode show that catches us up with Captain Marvel and Nick Fury as they continue to help the Skrulls against the Kree. My world will not be including the characters of Monica or Kamala. This show could actually confront Carol for being a bad hero, since she still hasn't found a home for the Skrull race. Throughout this show, we would learn that after all these years, some Skrulls have turned against Captain Marvel and Fury. Talos and Fury still have a good friendship, but other Skrulls have gotten impatient and rebelled. The galactic war between the Kree and the Skrulls would get more heated again. By the end of the show, that would be revealed to be a distraction while the other Skrulls invade Earth, replacing humans by taking their identities. The finale of the show would also reveal the creation of the Super Skrull, a Skrull who can shapeshift and use the powers of any superhero that he has the DNA of. This show would directly set up the Phase 4 Avengers movie. The first film of 2023 and the sixth and final film of Phase 4 would be Avengers Secret Invasion. It goes without saying, but this will be nothing like the Secret Invasion show that we got. This is an Avengers event film. But this one will not include Spider-Man because he's forgotten, or Thor because he's still in space. The film would open with a classic Avengers battle, letting us get to know the new team. Sam Wilson as Captain America leads the new team consisting of Shang-Chi, Ant-Man, Wanda, Kate Bishop, Shuri Black Panther, Rhodey, and Hulk. That's a good team of 8 to start the film with. In this battle, Ant-Man appears to be killed, but he shapeshifts into a Skrull, and this shocks the rest of the team. In the next scene, Captain Marvel returns to Earth with Nick Fury. They inform the Avengers of the invasion and that any one of them could be a Skrull. Shuri decides to return to Wakanda to protect her country. Doctor Strange would then return from the TVA to help the Avengers, while Nick Fury would talk to Talos to find out what the Skrulls did with the humans they replaced. Talos would reveal that he's been in on the invasion for years, but he still tells Fury the truth, that most humans are being kept in a prison in outer space. Meanwhile, Bruce Banner would try to create a Skrull unmasking device, but Wanda and Rhodey would destroy his work, revealing them as Skrulls. That leaves Banner, Sam, Shang-Chi, Strange, Kate, and Carol as the Avengers left on Earth. Fury and the remaining Avengers besides Banner go on to rescue the heroes and humans from the prison, but Banner stays on Earth to continue his work on the Skrull unmasking device, which he wants Shuri's help with. He would go to Wakanda, where we would get a classic scene of paranoia, with the Wakandans not trusting that Banner isn't a Skrull. But Shuri would choose to trust him because that's their only hope. The other Avengers rescue a whole ship of people including Scott, Wanda, and Rhodey, and return to Earth. Carol and Fury would reveal the invasion to the world, and people would panic, but the Skrulls would be forced to show themselves with Banner and Shuri's device. The Skrulls still try to take their place on Earth in a battle against the Avengers, and this is when the Super Skrull comes back. He can mimic the powers of Hulk, Strange, Wanda, or Carol, but as a team, the Avengers can take him down. The other Skrulls are talked down by Carol, who admits her failure at finding them a new world. She takes the blame for why the Skrulls thought they had to invade. Trust has been broken between the Skrulls and Carol, but she promises again to find them a world to be safe on. After the battle, the Avengers team is out of sorts because they have no idea how long they've actually known each other. Some of them try to figure out what their last real memory together was. But the new team has finally formed. I think this film could be a great cap to Phase 4. Even though it doesn't relate to the multiverse, it's a great movie for setting up the new group of heroes to focus on. The Skrull invasion story is such a good one that deserves a good Avengers movie, not just a short TV show. And that was Phase 4. 6 movies and 5 TV shows. We built up the team over a bunch of different projects, we caught up with a lot of our old heroes, and we set up a consistent multiverse for more projects to explore. Phase 5 will have 5 movies and 2 TV shows. The goal for this phase is to catch up with all the heroes that were not a part of Secret Invasion, so that we can combine them with the main Avengers team once Doomsday comes around. The last project of 2023 and the beginning of Phase 5 would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Very similar to the real one, but this time we have Thor as a part of the team, like Endgame set up. Thor would have a better friendship with Quill, and he would be able to help with the heartbreak over Gamora that Quill is experiencing. While the Rocket story will stay the same in this movie, and by the end, Thor will encourage Quill to come back to Earth with him. This would be the end of the Guardians trilogy, just like in real life, but we will see Thor again very soon. The first of 2 TV shows in Phase 5 would be Moon Knight. I wasn't a fan of the show we got because it went way too wild in the finale, but all the Mark and Steven dual identity parts were great, and I want the show more focused on that, instead of 2 Egyptian god kaijus battling each other. So far, this saga has introduced Shang-Chi, John Walker, Yelena, Alexei, Namor, and Kate Bishop. That is nowhere near the amount that Marvel actually introduced in this time. In this version, there is room for Moon Knight to have a part in the future. He's a character with a lot of potential, so I'm okay with this show existing. The first film of 2024 would be Thunderbolts. I want everything about this movie to stay the same, with an added detail at the beginning that Valentina's agents have been doing the dirty work of tracking down the rest of the Skrulls on Earth, left over from Secret Invasion. Yelena, Ghost, and Walker have been hunting down Skrulls for the last year before the events of this movie. Everything else stays the same. The team ends up being Yelena, Alexei, Walker, Bucky, Ghost, and Bob. Valentina names them the new Avengers because Sam's Avengers team is still struggling to mesh after the Skrull invasion story. The same headlines about competing Avengers teams would show up at the end. The second film of 2024 would be The Fantastic Four: First Steps. I really like the idea of this film taking place in an alternate reality, so we will keep that. But because of the replanning that had to be done for the Kang situation, this film will have to set up the Doctor Doom storyline far more. I want the Team of Four to be close with Victor Von Doom, not played by Robert Downey Jr., please. After they find out that Galactus wants the child Franklin, Doom and Reed would work together to try and find a way to stop him. Reed would have the Earth teleportation idea, which didn't work as we saw. Doom would not be able to think of any other way to defeat Galactus, and because of his pride and his ego to not let Reed be better than him, he would begin pressuring the family to give the child up to save their planet, insisting that it's the only way. Because in his mind, if he can't think of another way, then no one else can either. And that would drive a wedge between what was once a friendship. In the end, the four refuse to give up their child, and Galactus devours the planet. Their world is gone, and Doom blames Reed Richards for that. The family of five is forced to escape the planet, failing to save it from Galactus, and Dr. Doom tags along without the rest of them knowing. Reed would try to find a new planet suitable for them, but Franklin would use his reality-altering powers to take them to a different Earth, which would turn out to be Earth 616, or the main MCU. I know it's convoluted whether this is called 616 or 1999-99, but 616 is easier to say. Anyway, the Fantastic Four has just lost their entire world, and this film set up Doom to be a greater villain in the future. I would also change the beginning of this movie to not be as rushed, and show us a fight where the four work as a team, because I didn't get enough of their teamwork or family dynamic in the real film. The second TV show of 2024 would be Daredevil Born Again. Take your Daredevil and be happy. This show will be the same as it is in real life, but it will lead right into the next movie. And the third movie and final project of 2024 would be Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is the first time we see Spider-Man after he was forgotten in No Way Home, and we would also find out that his first ally in the new era is Daredevil. This could be a great Spider-Man and Daredevil team-up movie, and also the first true street-level adventure for Spidey. The villain here could be Kingpin, and we would also get a good Daily Bugle plotline going. This film needs to get back to the roots of Spider-Man before the stakes get huge again in the next film. The point is that now we've seen every hero who was not in the last Avengers movie, but will be in the next Avengers movie, and that's very important. The first film of 2025 and the final project of Phase 5 would be Avengers Doomsday. In Secret Invasion, we met our main Avengers team, and now throughout Phase 5, we caught up with Thor, met the Thunderbolts, met the Fantastic Four, met Moon Knight, and caught up with Spider-Man and Daredevil. This is a lot of characters to balance, but with that Avengers team set up, this is a lot more doable than what we have in real life. I have no idea how they're going to do it. How are they going to combine all these characters for the first time, as well as the old X-Men cast? Seems impossible, especially with no Doctor Doom setup. Anyway, my Doomsday is in far better shape. This film would start with the Fantastic Four meeting the Thunderbolts like it was set up in the post-credit scene. Spider-Man and Thor should rejoin the Avengers while Captain Marvel is on her own adventures again. She honestly doesn't need to be in this movie. For me, she was a big part of Secret Invasion, and that could be the end of her story. Dr. Doom would fight the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts for Franklin because he believes Franklin has the power to bring his world back. When Franklin touches Bob, he would gain the Sentry powers back, and he would easily defeat Doom for the moment. I just searched up how Sentry gets his powers back, and it said exposure to another dimension. So that's what we're going with. Eventually, Doom would take Franklin and develop a way to control his powers and try to bring the 828 Earth back. But he can't rewrite realities unless he goes to the TVA, to the multiversal tree where Loki is. Doom and Franklin would accidentally begin the multiverse incursions, which is the collisions between different worlds. Doctor Strange and the Avengers would become aware of this, and they would meet the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. Some of this new combined team would try to stop the incursions from destroying their reality, while others would search the world for Doom and Franklin. Strange, Reed, and Thor would find Doom and take Franklin back. Doom would admit that he made a mistake, which he had never done before. Because of that, for the moment, Reed would partly trust him again. Doctor Strange would inform the rest of them that the only way to stop the incursions would be to go to the TVA and have Franklin use his powers from there. They realized that Doom is the only one to figure out how to channel those powers, so he would have to be the one to do it. Strange, Reed, Thor, and Doom would all go to the TVA with Strange's Tempad, and there, Thor and Loki would have their reunion. At the multiversal tree, Doom gets the chance to stop the incursions, but his ego gets the better of him again. Doom rewrites the timeline to make himself Emperor of the Universe, and he isolates his world from the other universes which continue to destroy each other. Like I hinted at earlier, most other realities would eventually be wiped out, and that includes the other X-Men and Spider-Man worlds. Strange, Thor, Loki, and Reed are sent back to Earth by Doom, where their memories would be rewritten along with the rest of the heroes. Doom has created Battleworld, and that is what the next phase will be all about. Phase 6 would not rush into the next Avengers film. Instead, we would get 4 different adventures all taking place in Doom's Battleworld. We could get our World War Hulk movie that everybody wants. We could get a 4th Thor movie with Beta Ray Bill. I would also want Doctor Strange 3 and a Spider-Man and Fantastic Four team-up film. And all 4 of these would take place in the endless possibilities of the dark world that Doom rules over. The consequences of what Doom did will last the whole phase, consisting of 5 movies. Each of these solo adventures would have small victories, but the defeat from Doomsday would still be there until Avengers 7. World War Hulk could come out in 2025, and it would have Hulk as a gladiator for Emperor Doom's entertainment. One scene would show Doom watching the gladiator match with Doctor Strange and Sentry by his side. With their memories rewritten, Doom has gotten Strange, Sentry, Wanda, Loki, and the Fantastic Four to be his servants. This film would show Hulk becoming the most powerful, rageful Hulk we've ever seen in the MCU, which would force Doom to send Sentry to stop him. In the end, Hulk would win over Sentry as an ally, and they would start to inspire rebellion against Doom. Thor: The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill could bring us to the end of 2025, and it would introduce Beta Ray Bill as a new hero to follow. This film would not have as much to do with Doom, but it still takes place in the alternate reality where Thor doesn't remember his past with the Avengers. Doctor Strange Time Runs Out could come out in early 2026, and it would follow Doctor Strange as the second in command in Doctor Doom's empire. This film would be about Strange rediscovering the incursions elsewhere in the multiverse. He would turn against Doom in the story, and he would meet Moon Knight because he needs something to do. Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four could come out in late 2026, and it would explore how the four did not remember each other, but they all decided to stop serving Doom at the same time. And like Destiny, they would become a team again. Alongside Spider-Man, they would be the first public superheroes in this new reality. The final film of the Multiverse Saga would come out in May of 2027, and it would be called Avengers Battleworld. Since we already got Secret Invasion, I wouldn't want this movie to be called Secret Wars. Battleworld is in the theme with the comic storyline, so that's my title for the final Avengers film. And this time, the movie can go all out with multiverse insanity. I want to introduce a small team of Avengers from an alternate reality who managed to escape the incursions and found their way to Battleworld. This team could include a few X-Men characters, including the new recast Wolverine, as well as alternate versions of RDJ Iron Man and Chris Evans Captain America. These heroes would not be affected by Doom's rewrite of reality, so they would be the only hope to take him down. They would meet a small group of heroes who want to take down Doom, those being Sam Wilson, Yelena, Daredevil, and Peter Quill. Just a random bunch of heroes on Earth who are against Doom. Together, the two teams would go to Castle Doom, where they would meet an older Franklin Richards who needs to escape. This team could rescue Franklin, who could then find his family, and he would be able to give them their memories from the previous reality back. Starting with the Fantastic Four, the team would gain their memories back, including the heroes from the last few movies, which are Spider-Man, Strange, Moon Knight, Thor, Beta Ray Bill, Hulk, and Sentry. This massive team would go back to Castle Doom to try and find a way to the multiversal tree. Doom would still have Loki and Wanda serving him, but the Avengers defeat them, and Franklin would bring back their memories. Then Loki could lead them back to the multiversal tree. There, Franklin would rewrite reality once again, taking Doom off the throne, and he would stop the incursions. He would also try to bring the other worlds back, which had been destroyed. However, Doom follows them and kills Franklin Richards suddenly. Now the only one who can change reality is dead. Many of the heroes would attack Doom and bring the battle back down to the castle. Now Strange would bring back any other heroes that haven't shown up yet, while Tony Stark would find a way to bring more heroes from his universe. The finale of this film should be the biggest crossover in any movie. Any hero from any Marvel universe could be there. This is the time to bring back the old X-Men cast, as well as the Spider-Man actors one last time. And they're all there to defeat Doctor Doom. In the end, our MCU would be back to normal, with all the characters that we followed throughout the saga, plus some X-Men and the Fantastic Four. The Multiverse Saga would be a little bit messy no matter what, but it's that focus on our main heroes that would make it feel earned. I gave Strange 6 appearances, 5 to Spider-Man, and 4 to most other Avengers. I think my version of the saga would work a lot better than what we have now, because of that focus, the amount of content that I narrowed down, the clearer group of heroes that would come together, and of course a more consistent multiverse concept. Now I also have the benefit of hindsight, so I'm not saying I would be a better writer than anyone who worked on the saga. I just presented what I would have liked to see. In real life, Wakanda Forever ended Phase 4 and Thunderbolts ended Phase 5, and we still won't get a real Avengers film until the final 2 movies in the saga. That's disappointing to me, and I think it will be unbelievably messy when all these characters finally do combine in Doomsday. The most important part of my version is that there would already be a team before Doom shows up, and that would make every project feel more valuable than it does now. Also, I made sure not to change things that were out of Marvel's control, like Chadwick Boseman's death or the Jonathan Majors situation. Those were obstacles, but they didn't derail the whole plan. Here are all the projects that I got rid of completely. Eternals, Love and Thunder, Quantumania, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Brave New World, What If, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion Show, Echo, Agatha, and Ironheart. Eliminating all of these would make the saga better simply by making the amount of content less overwhelming. My Phase 4 had 6 movies and 5 shows, totaling 11 projects. My Phase 5 had 5 movies and 2 shows, totaling 7 projects, and my Phase 6 had 5 movies. The saga overall totaled 23 projects, the exact same amount as the Infinity Saga. Meanwhile, the real Multiverse Saga will end up being over 35 projects, a lot of which I will never spend my time on. They just made too much. Hopefully you liked some of my ideas for what I wish the Multiverse Saga had been. Comment anything else that you would have liked to see, and let me know which of my ideas were terrible. And that's it. Now I can shut up about Marvel.